Try answering this. What happens when a state runs out of money, but the people still live there? Streets crumble, hospitals close, schools vanish, and crime takes over. It's not a movie plot. It's already unfolding across parts of America. From states drowning in debt to regions so dependent on one industry that one shutdown could collapse everything. This is the dark underbelly of the U.S. economy. You'll be surprised which states are quietly heading toward the edge. And if the national economy crashes, these—
Folks, what I'm about to share with you today isn't just another economic prediction. It's an urgent warning based on hard data that financial experts don't want you to see. Brothers and sisters, while Washington keeps telling us the economy is strong, behind the scenes, multiple warning indicators are flashing red, and certain states are standing on the edge of an economic abyss. What you're about to learn could be the difference between your family thriving or struggling to survive when the economic house of cards finally collapses.
crashes, these 10 states won't just suffer, they'll fall first. Is your state already showing the signs? Let's find out. Number 10. Mississippi. You might think of this place as just quiet southern farmland, but look a little closer. Mississippi, the poorest state in the U.S., is already on life support. Nearly 1 in 5 residents lives below the poverty line, and less than 54% of working-age adults even participate in the workforce. That's the lowest rate in the country. The job market, barely moving. Growth has flatlined. And while other states welcome innovation and outside investment, Mississippi sees almost no foreign business presence. Just 0.003.
Folks, the warning signs are everywhere if you know where to look. The national debt has exploded past $34 trillion with no end in sight. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet has ballooned to over $7.5 trillion, creating unprecedented monetary distortion. According to the Congressional Budget Office, interest payments on the national debt will exceed $1 trillion annually by 2030, more than we spend on national defense. Meanwhile, real inflation continues to devastate family budgets despite what official numbers claim. What we're seeing is unprecedented in American economic history, explains Dr. Peter Schiff, economist and financial analyst. The combination of federal debt, unfunded liabilities, and monetary expansion has created structural instabilities that make a significant correction not just likely, but mathematically inevitable. Brothers and sisters, when this economic reckoning comes, and our research indicates it's a matter of when, not if, the impact won't be distributed equally. Folks, before we count down the 10 most vulnerable states, you need to understand the 7 critical factors that make certain states economic time bombs waiting to explode. First, unsustainable debt levels. Some states have borrowed themselves into corners they mathematically cannot escape. Second, unfunded pension obligations. Certain states have made promises to government workers they simply cannot keep. Third, single industry dependence. States that rely too heavily on tourism, energy production, or manufacturing become extraordinarily vulnerable when those sectors experience downturns. Fourth, crumbling infrastructure. States that have neglected their roads, bridges, water systems, and electrical grids face catastrophic failure points. Fifth, population exodus. States already experiencing significant outmigration of working-age taxpayers face accelerating death spirals. Sixth, weak rainy day funds. States without adequate budget reserves will have no cushion when tax revenues suddenly plummet. And seventh, housing market instability. States with inflated housing bubbles face devastating ripple effects when those markets inevitably correct. Coming in at number 10 on our economic vulnerability list, Nevada. The Silver State's extraordinary dependence on tourism and gambling creates a dangerous economic situation when discretionary spending dries up. Nevada derives 33% of its GDP from tourism, hospitality, and gaming, the highest tourism dependency of any state. During the 2008 financial crisis, Nevada's economy contracted by 14.8%, more than double the national average. Folks, if you live in Nevada, your economic warning light isn't just flashing, it's burning bright red. At number 9, Michigan. Despite partial recovery in Detroit, the Great Lakes state remains dangerously vulnerable due to its continuing dependence on the automotive industry, which accounts for 22% of state GDP directly and indirectly. Michigan's unfunded pension liabilities exceed $70.4 billion, representing over $7,000 per resident. The state's infrastructure crisis is equally alarming. 62% of roads are rated in poor or mediocre condition, and 1,196 bridges are structurally deficient. Number 8 on our vulnerable states list, Connecticut. Behind its wealthy facade, the Constitution state faces structural fiscal challenges that leave it extraordinarily exposed to economic downturns. Connecticut's combined state and local debt equals 22.1% of its total GDP, the highest debt-to-GDP ratio in the nation. Its pension system is only 41.7% funded, creating a $69.8 billion unfunded liability, more than $19,500 per resident. Brothers and sisters, Connecticut's appearance of wealth masks a state budget that's built on an increasingly unstable foundation. At number 7, Louisiana. The Pelican State faces a perfect storm of economic vulnerabilities that leaves it dangerously exposed to the next downturn. Louisiana's economy remains heavily dependent on the oil and gas sector, which accounts for 17.2% of state GDP directly and nearly 29% when indirect effects are included. When oil prices fell in 2014 to 2016, state revenues declined by $1.9 billion, 21.6% in just 2 years. With a poverty rate of 19.6%, among the highest in the nation, and one of the lowest rainy day funds relative to its budget needs, Louisiana has virtually no cushion to absorb economic shocks. Number 6 on our countdown, New Jersey. The Garden State's financial situation has become increasingly untenable despite its wealthy tax base. New Jersey has the worst funded pension system in the nation at just 36.1% funded. This creates an unfunded liability of $186.2 billion, more than 4 times the state's annual budget. The state's total debt burden equals 15.2% of GDP, the second highest in the nation. Folks, New Jersey's fiscal challenges aren't cyclical. They're structural and worsening with each passing year. At number 5, West Virginia. The Mountain State's extraordinary dependence on declining industries creates dangerous economic vulnerability. West Virginia remains the second most dependent state on coal, with the industry accounting for 13% of state GDP and indirectly supporting nearly 22% of state tax revenue. As coal production has declined 56% since 2008, the state has faced cascading economic challenges. West Virginia faces the most severe demographic crisis in the nation. The state's population has declined for 10 consecutive years, shrinking by 3.8% since 2012. More troublingly, the working-age population has declined by 9.6%, while the 65-plus population has increased by 18.4%. Number 4 on our vulnerable states list, Kentucky. The Bluegrass State faces structural economic challenges that leave it dangerously exposed. Kentucky's public pension system is only 30.9% funded, creating an unfunded liability of $72.8 billion. This represents more than 7 times the state's annual general fund revenue, creating a mathematical impossibility for normal fiscal solutions. Folks, Kentucky's economic foundation has serious structural cracks that will quickly widen during the next recession. At number 3, Illinois. The Prairie State's fiscal condition has deteriorated to what financial analysts describe as structurally unsound. Illinois has the worst credit rating of any state at just one notch above junk status. Its pension system faces an unfunded liability exceeding $241 billion, a staggering $18,896 per resident. Illinois has lost population for 9 consecutive years, with a net loss of 476,000 residents since 2010. This creates a shrinking tax base while fixed obligations continue to grow. Brothers and sisters, Illinois faces the most severe pension funding crisis in America, creating vulnerabilities that will become acute during the next economic contraction. At number 2, and this may surprise many, California. Despite having the largest economy of any state, the Golden State has extraordinary vulnerabilities that could trigger fiscal collapse during a serious downturn. California has the most volatile tax system in America. The state derives 69.3% of general fund revenue from personal income taxes, with 49% of those taxes coming from just the top 1% of earners. During economic contractions, this revenue source evaporates dramatically, declining 20.4% during the 2008 to 2009 recession. California's housing market shows alarming bubble characteristics. The median home price of $816,804 is 2.6 times the national average, while the cost-to-income ratio has reached 13.3, well beyond historically sustainable levels. And the number 1 most economically vulnerable state in America, New York. The Empire State faces a perfect storm of fiscal, demographic, and structural challenges that leave it extraordinarily exposed to economic downturns. New York has the highest combined state and local debt in the nation at $427.7 billion, over $21,900 per resident. Its pension systems face unfunded liabilities exceeding $236 billion when realistic investment returns are applied. New York faces extreme dependency on Wall Street for tax revenue. The securities industry accounts for just 5% of NYC jobs but generates 20% of state tax revenue. During the 2008 financial crisis, this dependency caused state revenues to plummet by 16.8%. Brothers and sisters, New York's fiscal challenges represent an existential threat to the state's economic model when the next serious recession hits. Folks, if you live in one of these vulnerable states, watch for these warning signs that economic collapse is imminent. Accelerating outmigration of businesses and working-age residents, pension contribution reductions or manipulation of return assumptions, increased borrowing for operational rather than capital expenses, delays in vendor payments and infrastructure maintenance, rising municipal bond yields compared to more stable states. Brothers and sisters, if you see these warning signs, consider these critical preparation steps. Reassess your housing situation and property tax vulnerability. Diversify your income sources beyond state-dependent industries. Build an emergency fund covering 8 to 12 months of expenses. Review your tax situation to understand how state fiscal crisis might impact you. Consider establishing economic connections to more stable states. Folks, this information isn't meant to create fear, but to promote wise preparation based on mathematical realities. Economic challenges have always been part of the American story, and informed citizens have always weathered these storms best. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell for more critical economic analysis based on hard data rather than political talking points. The time to prepare is now, before these state-level fiscal challenges become national headlines.